In this tight quarters.
In these tight quarters, we come to you live with POSTCAST, or not so live if you're watching it delayed. But thank you very much for watching it nonetheless. We really appreciate that. David Locke along with Ron Boone. If you're listening to it wherever you might be, this is what we do after every game. We chat about the 9th straight Jazz loss. Longest losing streak for the Jazz since 2005. I got to tell you, it doesn't feel that bad, but I guess it is. It's a 9-game losing streak. That's tough to swallow.
David, if that was the 26th.
Just in the sense that they were 20 and something when they lost their 9 straight, and it was March. So I'm going to think you're right. The franchise has been so great that you don't actually have a lot of other choices. So it's the team that got the Darren Williams draft pick, right?
Yeah, probably so.
All right, well, good. I'll take that.
Yeah, take that. But
in the meantime, we have to live through it.
Right.
This was a weird one because. Well, on one level, it was not strange at all. It just absolutely followed the script that we've followed every single night all year. Pretty good start. Really good start tonight. 31 points in the first quarter. Disastrous second quarter. I mean, the numbers are incredible. To be minus 117 points in the second quarter this year is in 21 games. I could probably do some math here, but 21 times 12 is just not that many. I mean, you're like down a point every 2 minutes.
And I felt good about this game tonight. After the first quarter, I really felt good because it looked like we were running. We were getting the transition points, and it seemed like everyone was involved. And then the second quarter came.
So he changed the rotations. He played Gordon. Yeah. He's tried everything.
Yeah,
he did. So at some point, it's just your talent level on your roster. But Gordon played the entire first quarter tonight, had a really, really good first quarter. I think he had 12 points in that first quarter. And then he played with a different second unit. He tried to have 2. You could tell he tried to have 2 of the main guys on the floor at all times. And
I think what he's struggling with, David, who can play if Gordon is that guy that makes this everything go. Now, who's the next guy on this team that can hold things off or where the Jazz could survive in that second quarter that could lead the team close to what they was getting out of Gordon in that first quarter. What player on this team can do that? And it has to be a player that has more of a complete game, can shoot the 3, can make some plays. And I'm not sure who that is right now. Can it be Trey or can it be Alec?
Can it be Ennis at the post?
Ennis, it has to be someone that they can go through for at least 7, 8, 9 minutes in that second quarter until you can get a rotation going to where you can survive the ball game.
It's hard. You can pick it all apart, right? Like, so the minute I say Ennis, then that second quarter, so you put Ennis and Rudy on the floor together, and you have 2 non-passing bigs.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's one lesson about what's going on in the game right now, you got to have passing bigs to be able to play good offense. Okay, so so you got 2 non-passing bigs. That's a problem. The one that's interesting is Alec, to me, looks a little bit like last year's Gordon. I thought Alec is just tougher than all get out tonight playing, and that shoulder still doesn't look good. He got hit late in the game. You can see him go down and scream. But Alec reminds me of last year's Gordon when he's in with that second unit, trying to carry the offensive load. And really, his game is a fabulous driving, slashing game if somebody else has broken down the floor for him. So that crease, as you talk about, is already there. But if he's the one trying to create the crease out of nothing, not as good.
I agree with you. I don't think it's Alec Burks
as the second scorer.
That's the second.
But it's not Trey Burke.
So how? and that
so
was
now
my
we're Quinn Snyder, right?
Like
now we are suddenly Mike Wells, Brad Jones, Alex Jensen, Quinn Snyder sitting in an office, Antonio Lang, and we've just gone around in a circle. And we got.
So that's my point. So does Gordon play the first 18 minutes or the first 14 minutes of the first half? I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, that maybe something like that. I mean, obviously, if you're thinking about staying in basketball games and not having to dig yourself out of a game in that first half, especially, then that rotation he has to keep experimenting. I know he's experimenting now. For sure. But you have to keep experimenting until you find something that works as far as minutes, rotation, and players that can play together better.
Gordon didn't have a great night tonight. We kind of got on him a little bit on the broadcast about the fact that he had some open. I mean, really, we needed Gordon and this is maybe scary. We needed Gordon tonight to have a 30-point night to win this game.
Yes.
He had a chance. He had a bunch of open looks. However, with that said, when Gordon's on the floor tonight, we're +9.
Still.
When Gordon's off the floor, we're -18.
That's not good.
So in the 13 minutes that Gordon Hayward was on the bench, we're -18. You can't play him more than 37 minutes a night. We're already playing him 37 minutes a night, and when he's off the floor, it's a mess. You know what though? Maybe that's what we're learning. I mean, maybe that's the value of the season. That's
and that's my point. I mean, this is and we talk so much about how we're losing and who we're losing to and this streak, but we have to figure out what's going on in order to go forward. I know this is a very young basketball team. There's so many things that and so many elements of the game that has to be improved, that you have to, in order to become that team this year that you think you should be. Obviously, you're looking long term for sure, but in order for things to start to click for you, then it's all about experimenting.
The little tiny things are what I think you're gonna have to chew into. Rudy Gobert's third quarter of defense was elite. Now the offense did okay, right? The offense didn't work. Who cares?
Yeah.
We gotta just take half of that. Right? Trey Burke ends up shooting badly tonight, which I think is a little disconcerting because I actually felt like he played pretty well. He's 4 of 13. He got some looks that we haven't seen him get before. I thought you brought it up, they ran that open side elbow pick and roll better for Trey than they have all year. And he still went 4 of 13, which is a little disconcerting. I thought, I think on some of those things, we're going to have to find those little pieces along the way. And I think tonight's piece has got to be Rudy Gobert's third quarter defense was unbelievable. And yes, as you get all excited about this, just seems to be right now this little slap in the face every single time you get excited that okay, well, on the other end, we couldn't score. Let's take some questions.
Sure, let's do it.
From Ryan Dangerfield, the Jazz are in the middle of a large losing streak.
Where's Ryan from?
It doesn't say. No. However, we have yet to change the starting lineup. Is it clear the Jazz are struggling to defend the paint? Will Rudy start the season? If so, how many games away do you think that is? So here's the issue. The Jazz have talked about it. I know for a fact the coaching staff has talked about it. I've talked to Quinn about it. Rudy and Derek together is what you're talking about. They have done very little of it. They understand they need to do it. It doesn't work at all in a rotation. Their feeling is, natural instinct is from coaches is that it's not going to work offensively because you can't spread the floor with a stretch 4. You can't get the things you want because as good as Derek's mid-range game is, he hasn't been able to do it. Like I keep asking, can Derek Favors become the David West or Roy Hibbert? You know what? Indiana can't score. So even if, right. So, and then the other problem is your second unit becomes Trevor Booker and Enes Kanter. You'll allow 100 points just against the second unit. So it's hard. And, I go back to a Gordy Chiesa rule. Gordy Chiesa used to say you can't change one guy in the starting lineup. You got to change 2.
Wow.
Because you can't blame the losing streak on one guy.
Yeah. And that's the smart way to do it. Even though you might think it's one guy, the smart thing to do
So the only thing you can do is Rudy Gobert and Rodney Hood, but is it really fair to say that to Alec Burks? Is like Alec Burks and Enes Kanter, it's your fault? It's not.
But and with this being such a young team, you don't want to take their confidence away. You don't want to take you want them to understand roles. And if you change the start, if you change the lineup, it's like demoting. I think sometimes and this is an organization right now that's trying to build something.
Great point.
They tore this team down.
Ennis is better today than he was. Yes. If you bench him, that's a bad thing. Ryan is in Lehigh. Andy, we have to be a little quick here because they don't wait for us, particularly in losing streaks. Is the streak more a mental thing or an experience thing? Andy from Wellington, Florida. I think that's a great question.
Yeah. I think it becomes mental. It definitely becomes mental because every one of those players want to win. Most of these guys come from a winning program, and they're used to winning. They're used to being the best player out there on the floor. Winning becomes hard. And then and it's the same when you're not playing well, it becomes mental. How do you get out of it? That's the bottom line.
And yes. I think the answer is yes. I think they're mentally exhausted because Quinn is pushing them very, very hard.
Yes.
And I think he knows it, but he thinks it's worth it. And I think that then mentally they're tired of losing. And I will answer the last question because we need to start moving. Is Favors really a rim protector? And why does he still foul so much in his 5th year? He actually doesn't foul that much this year. He's really been pretty good about it. He is not a rim protector. Okay. He is a good defensive player, but he is not a rim protector.
Yeah, he's only 6'10".
And so this is the real issue: is can we find a way for Derek and Rudy to play together? And that's the key to this becoming a good defensive team. But it's a very difficult equation for Quinn. And I promise you, it's the discussion that is going on most common in the coach's office right now. But it's not an easy answer.
Quickly answer this: is it the offensive side of the ball that you don't think can play, or the defensive side?
Well, I think they can play the defensive side. I don't think there's two things. I don't think there's a concern of whether they can play offensively, and there's a concern of what it does to the rotation.
Yeah.
Like what and to what we just talked about, you're benching Ennis.
Yes.
And Ennis has been really working very hard. As much as there have been these very volatile public moments, he's making pretty big progress. He's playing pretty well. I don't know what he scored tonight, but he had scored 16 or more in what did he score tonight? He's had 13. So that he had scored 16 or more in 12 of his last 15 games. I mean, he's making progress. And so maybe Gobert becomes your first substitution for Ennis, and you start playing it that way a little bit. And then Booker's your next substitution. And so maybe you get 12 minutes a night of the two of them, and you start doing it that way.
Start playing mental games. It's okay, Kent. We need you in that second quarter. So I'm going to take you out early in the first quarter.
Right. Yeah. You're trying.
Who knows?
So it's hard. There's no easy answer.